methods that we are practitioners, our providers, clinical as well as lifestyle. I'm Sally. I'm the business development and marketing person here at Vessel, and these events are going to be ongoing. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And I want to thank Jen Castro, one of our nurse practitioners here, for being here. She's very knowledgeable, and I know she has patience, so we'll give her the floor right away. I think you all know Denise, and Joy's going to be with us shortly here. And thanks again. So the floor is yours. Today, you all know, I think that is all about cholesterol, the good, the bad, how we're handling that.
I just kind of want to ask everybody if they know exactly what cholesterol is and why it's important to know if you have high cholesterol. You don't? Okay. Well, too much cholesterol in your blood can result in a heart attack or stroke, so it's very important to know what your cholesterol numbers are and what you can do to decrease those numbers. So there's different types of cholesterol markers. We have the LDL, which is the bad cholesterol, and that typically is the one we worry about for risk factor for stroke or heart attack. We like that to be less than 100. And for an HDL, which is a good cholesterol, we like that to be above 50. Now, that one is called the good cholesterol because the more you have of it in your blood, the less chance you have of having a heart attack or stroke. Risk factors for heart disease also not only include high cholesterol, but high blood pressure and diabetes. And you know, what's interesting about high cholesterol is that there's no symptoms. You'll never know unless you get a blood test.
So we recommend that.
We recommend blood testing at least every 6 months.
Yes.
And now, you know, they're finding that most women are at higher risk for heart disease. So it's very important to get your levels tested.
And I'm going to.
You're going to go for a blood draw?
Yeah.
So we try to do one good comprehensive cholesterol panel with a company called Boston Heart, and then go from there. But you can go to TriCore, Quest, and any other lab company that you usually use and get that tested. And we usually like to start with lifestyle changes first, like diet is so important, exercise, plant-based, which Joy is very good at providing instructions on how to cook plant-based meals. Plant-based can lower your cholesterol and reduce your chances of having high cholesterol levels in your blood. And what we can do to change is more physical activity, weight reduction, and how we eat. We need to change that. We often use medications, but we try to do lifestyle changes first to improve that.
Jan, you said there aren't any signs, but is there some comorbidities or other concerns that we might be seeing if we had high cholesterol, like obesity or diabetes or something else?
Yeah, those all go hand in hand. If a patient is diabetic, more than likely they have high cholesterol. If they have family history of heart disease or stroke, then they could have high cholesterol. Obesity, smoking, those things, thyroid issues, all of those can contribute.
So it is important to be tested because we may not know.
I've seen the skinniest person, healthiest looking person with the highest cholesterol, and that's because of genetics. So genetics play an important role in it. The foods you want to concentrate on are high fiber foods, the lower cholesterol. Apples, pears, greens, lots of greens, prunes, oats, legumes, things like that. Exercise at least 20 minutes a day of good cardio exercise, walking, getting on the treadmill, getting on the elliptical, something that, and that also improves blood pressure. Increasing physical activity can lower cholesterol tremendously. And some supplements like fish oil, omega fish oil, is a great supplement to help improve your overall HDL, which is your good cholesterol, and lower your LDL, which is your bad cholesterol.
And as you all may know, or may not know, we do have these tailored to those conditions our supplement line, which is Dental Health supplement line. And we do have basically everything that Jen is talking about, the monomegas, the CoQ10s, the red yeast rice, niacin, benefiber lean, and pork complete. Benefiber lean, if you are not getting enough fiber-rich foods in your diet, then you are wanting to look at some of these kinds of supplements to just get that into your diet one way or another until you bring it up to speed with maybe some more natural methods. But supplements are just that, they are a supplement to your diet, right? So all of these things are rich in those ingredients that are helping you to combat those conditions, as well as the actual core of having bad cholesterol, which is the LDL levels.
So the more fiber in your diet, the more likely you are to reduce the ability of your liver to continue to make cholesterol, because your liver just makes cholesterol. And so in order to reduce that, fiber in your diet can be very helpful. Supplemental fiber, powdered fiber every day, probiotics, fibrous foods like apples and leafy vegetables. Does anybody have any questions?
For Jen on behalf of, because I know she has to get back to her patients.
Because I'm kind of curious about what this full complete is for.
So Dr. White believes that in order to have, if we're fighting, whether it's diabetes or cholesterol, whatever it is, he wants that core strength. So he always starts all of his programs with the protein shake, because that builds a strong body. So that's the core of all of his practice. So it's to have that. As much as we try to eat a complete diet, we're not always good at it. And so if you have that core complete, then you're making sure that you get that. And then you add those extra supplements to help whichever direction we're working on, whether that be diabetes or the lipid control. Yeah, weight loss, whatever that is.
It does give you kind of a balanced way of starting your day. Because if you are, like a lot of us, you're rushing here, rushing there, and you're thinking you're grabbing something good, whether you're a yogurt on the way out or whatever it is, you're still possibly not getting everything you need, right?
Boost?
Boost is good.
Boost is good.
There is some sugar in there.
Yeah, that's,
Just
just
want to make sure you have something with fiber and at least 20 to 30 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
That has supplements like vitamin B, vitamin C.
You like eat a piece of high fiber bread and boost?
Yeah, that's good. That'll give you good energy, but make sure you have some kind of protein with it.
so maybe some almond butter
Yeah, almond butter.
or, something like that to kind of, because it is about a matter of kind of combining.
Because bread is just a carb. It's
Yeah.
gonna give you energy, but it's gonna be.
Well, I drink boost and I eat bread simultaneously.
So as a Passport member, you have access to meet with either myself or Joy, and we can help create a good menu for you. We can look at what you're eating, what you like to eat, and we can create a menu to help support you. Make it easier so you don't have to think about it. And we'll give you some great choices to follow. Because it's never too late to turn around your health or to help support your health.
Right. And that's not saying what you're doing is bad.
We'll just take a
It's
close
just
look.
saying that maybe you might need to add a few things to it.
Like a fruit?
Like a fruit,
Like a half
like a,
banana?
Bananas.
yeah. But she does mention protein and
Juices.
protein is definitely not in those fruits, right? So protein is more from your legumes, from your greens,
Nuts.
yeah. So somewhere you need to get that in your body too, to start your day, because protein is really what fuels you. I know a lot of people think it's the carb, and they do, but not in the right way. You're not going to.
Boost is protein.
Yeah, I had
Boost has some
But it
protein.
has some artificial sweeteners and some other chemicals. in it.
Yeah, that's a good adjunct to your meal. Make sure you eat a little breakfast and then you can have a boost as well, because the older
Right.
you get and your age, you need a little more protein in your diet.
Mhm.
For me, I can run off carbs all day. It's not healthy, but sometimes three square meals a day is sufficient. Some people just do two.
Raisin bran
Mhm.
in the morning and juice.
That's good. And some toast maybe for the boost.
No,
We'll have to take a look. We'll have to schedule a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll schedule a time. We'll come up with a good plan for you.
so the cholesterol that you eat comes from meat,
Eggs,
eggs, yeah.
eggs, proteins, some proteins like red meat. Our body makes cholesterol.
It breaks it
though.
down, yeah.
It's in our body. It's in our
Right.
body already.
So if I switch to an all plant-based diet, will my cholesterol drop dramatically?
I don't know about dramatically, but it can
Well,
certainly
mine's
get
pretty high,
become
so-
low.
So
Well, okay.
according to the research, and I brought some books, a plant-based diet can reduce blood cholesterol by 35%.
Yeah.
That could be tremendous for somebody.
Even weight loss, if you lose a pound a week, you're probably
not wanting
decreasing
to
your
need to lose
cholesterol by
weight.
5 to 10%.
Yeah.
You're not really needing to lose weight though.
No.
So that would not be your tactic.
Yeah.
I think, like Denise is saying, that maybe it's more about looking at some of the things that you are eating and maybe where that is coming from as far as, you know, we all, like Jen says, we're producing it in our body.
Yeah.
But somehow maybe there is maybe something you get more of through the, you know, obviously
Yeah.
with the LDL being the higher. And this happens all the time. My husband is that guy. He's very fit. He works out almost every day. He eats really good, but he genetically has high cholesterol. And we did not know that until we tested it. And it was like, ah. So, yeah.
So your body just makes it. It's produced in the liver.
So tell me, Jen, what you think of this. So I was doing some research for this session and I was looking up what Dr. Wild says.
Yeah.
And he says it's not about eating cholesterol. So like eating eggs, eating cholesterol doesn't cause cholesterol. Eating saturated fats cause
And
cholesterol.
trans fats.
And trans
Yeah.
fats, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you talk about not eating cholesterol, you're not eating the food that helps the body create cholesterol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Which is
And we
a
do
little
need-
different.
And we do need to, that's a good point to bring up about the fats. We do need to be cognizant of what fats we're using in our foods and our cooking and our processes in the kitchen, right? So that's something that I had that aha. I've always been really good about using olive oil and
Instead
this
of
and that.
butter, yeah.
But now I even know more through Denise and Joy, for instance, that you should be using, you know, depending upon what you're making, and if you're one of those people who likes to be in the kitchen, there are certain oils that are better for high heat, certain oils that are better for just having them, you know, raw on your food. There are different types of oils for different types of things, and when you add that heat element, it even makes it a higher.
Like
unfortunate-
avocado oil with high heat.
Yeah, avocado oil is what I use for my, like, if I'm going to make something at a high temperature on the stove, I use avocado oil.
I do too.
If I'm gonna make something cool, I use olive oil. So you kind of just learn.
So I have a list of what causes hyperlipidemia.
Nice.
And I'd love to hear Jen's. So we have different, not different takes. I think our views overlap, but we have different ways that we approach when we look at health. And what I took from the books here, diet high in saturated, oxidized fats, trans fats, and sugar. If you have concerns with hereditary, then you have to look at alcohol, sugar, and high glycemic index foods because they all raise triglycerides. A diet that is deficient in antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals, which is why you would take the Core Complete, because then it adds those antioxidants and vitamins and minerals back into your diet. Diets that are low in calcium, chromium, and essential fatty acids and fiber. So really, if we have a diet that's deficient in what we need for our body to be healthy, then we have a higher chance of having high cholesterol. So it makes sense, right? Just keep your body healthy and it will help with
The exercise plays a huge role too.
yeah.
It says.
And so there was research that showed that there was a link between feeling hopeless and the progression of cholesterol raising by 20% faster. If you are stressed or you have cognitive frustration, then it can raise the blood pressure. increasing the body's ability to hold on to carbohydrates, causing cholesterol to rise. So yeah, it's definitely lifestyle too. So working out, but maintaining your stress and your resilience in your body. So few things you could look at, right? Lifestyle, and that includes eating healthy, but exercise and maintaining a calm. Yes.
Yeah, because the oxidation or inflammation is kind of hand in hand. So when you have a lot of inflammation in the body, you can increase your cholesterol levels as well and increase your risk. So, and I think that's where some of the turmeric, maybe this will come into play with it.
That's
Very
very good.
helpful.
Reducing inflammation.
Yes.
We also had a list of other ones: garlic, vitamin C, vitamin E, chromium, alfalfa sprouts, artichoke, organic pressed olive oil, which is what you said. Red rice yeast has been known to help reduce the bad cholesterol, the LDL. And CoQ10, which is our supplement of the month, is excellent to help. And then we have the Benefiber, because the Benefiber helps with the body eliminating that waste. So we have some recipes and have some handouts on cholesterol. Joy has been, I'm sure she's biting us a bit here because she can't talk at the same time because it echoes, and she has so much to say. So the fact that she's sitting there going, oh, please let me talk.
Kidding on her lap.
This is,
But
look, this came up
Do you
in
have
a,
any other questions for Jen? I know that I don't want to keep her if you need to get going.
yeah.
I don't know what our CoQ10 is made of, but I know that
Ours is
it
pretty
should
high
be
level.
made of, like citrus fruits, because that
It
can
is.
really improve
Bioflavonoids.
like bergamot. Let's see, fat soluble antioxidants.
It's so tiny. It's
Okay, so, of course,
So it's full of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory benefits. So it's got to have some kind of citrus fruits in it to improve cholesterol.
I'm sure it does, but it just says Kanika ubiquinol,
yeah.
coenzyme Q10 as ubiquinol. So to get to the nitty gritty,
But I've had patients with Parkinson's say that their neurologists prescribe the CoQ10 to help improve the neuro. just
The
overall.
connectedness, yes.
very nice.
The
That's-
flow,
That's,
flow,
that's,
yes.
that's a
Yeah.
plug.
So Parkinson's, so I know that Shar has concerns with Parkinson's. Are you on CoQ10?
No.
Are you on the supplement CoQ10?
They're finding that it improves a lot of things like your balance, the neurotransmitters in your brain for Parkinson's.
Well, I'm big fan.
It's
Yeah.
heart healthy. It decreases inflammation. A lot of the plaques that
I'm gonna get my brother on this.
cholesterol can develop in the brain too.
So that's something that I think they're now even finding with leaky gut, they have leaky brain. So you have to realize that whatever's happening in the gut or any other place of the body is probably happening in other places. Yeah, so
Yeah.
leaky brain is something,
Wow.
or calcification also happens in the brain also, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
And that's why so many people that do have a stroke, they put them on the high dose statin. Because the plaques that are in the brain has,
Multiplied.
So statins are not the
Now this, you can do this in, well. should
well,
say
but I
instead,
understand. So if it's so
Okay.
dangerous that your life is at risk,
Right.
statins is what we want to use. But statins have long-term
Effects.
negative
Side
effects. Yeah. So not where we want to be. We want to catch it ahead of that.
So this sometimes is prescribed along with a statin,
Yes. We've been doing
okay?
that.
So that is because this will kind of just kind of co-reverse, somehow reverse some of those things that might be happening from the statin. So. But this is on our supplement of the month, so it is 25% off this.
Which is good. So
Yeah.
it's a good time to.
It
to
is,
purchase
and
it,
it
yeah.
does get it a lot.
And so
lower.
you have a list of Dr. White's recommendations for lipid control. I'm also I have some handouts here that have some other supplements. I practice Ayurveda, so I have a list of Ayurvedic herbs that help with cholesterol. Again, always check with your medical doctor if you're taking other medications for counteractions.
Yeah.
But these are just some other ways that you might look at keeping your health. And so,
And there's, now, are these all over there in?
yeah, they have information right over there.
Okay.
So, and then I know Joy's been doing some research. So do we want to turn Joy on?
Yeah,
Great,
and then we can see her.
great. Hey, you guys.
Hey, Joy.
Hey. Oh, I'm glad this worked out. Great. Yeah. So as usual, when we do these presentations, it's always such a eye opener to me how much of it comes back to the same information again and again, of the foods that we want to cut back on and the things that we want to eat more of. And I've kind of come to believe when I'm teaching the cooking classes and the nutrition classes that if we can come to a balance of 80-20, so you're eating the right things 80% of the time and having the treats or the things that might not be as helpful only 20% of the time, because that's going to put you in a lot better situation than just the free-for-all that we sometimes do. And I wanted to share with you guys. So we're on vacation for a couple of days, and we don't go off it when we go away. This is some of the stuff we brought with us, tomatoes, apricots, cucumbers, lettuce, and one of our ladies, Kathy, that's been coming to classes, has a big garden, and I got some of this from her that we're so lucky to bring with us. But it's not just for us something that we do at home. So we want to do it when we're out too. And it was also an eye-opener to find out that basically cholesterol is in every single cell in our body. It's a waxy substance. And as Jen said, our liver produces it. And we don't even need to eat it in our diet. It's not one of those things that's essential for us to eat. Like we have to have a little bit of sodium and we have to have protein and carbs and fats and all that. But cholesterol is just something that's kind of a piggybacking on everything else. And it's not really something that we need to concern ourselves with as far as taking it in to meet any needs. And I found that a great deal of it, as Jen also said, is lifestyle related. There are people that it's hereditary and it's a different situation, but 38% of the people in our country right now have cholesterol levels that are too high. And I just think probably that's not all hereditary. There's probably some bad eating going on there too. And so the best way to avoid cholesterol and saturated fats are to avoid animal products. First thing, red meat, dairy products, cheeses that are real high in oil, palm oil, coconut oil, lard, and processed foods. And we've had the subject of coconut oil come up in our classes before. And I do think if you are one of those people that have high cholesterol and are trying to work on that, you probably would want to avoid the coconut oil and go with the avocado and olive oils, as Sally mentioned. And yet always the oil that we get from the whole foods, from an avocado, from nuts, from seeds, where all the other phytonutrients are still there in the package, is always better than a processed oil, because they are the highest calorie food we can eat is oil, 4,000 calories a pound. So I would say some suggestions to help you with this is to start a meatless Monday tradition at your house. Substitute a bean or a lentil dish for a meat-centered meal. And boy, bean burritos and tacos and tostadas and all the wonderful food that we have in New Mexico makes it really easy to do that. Create a series of sandwich ideas for your weekly lunches that rely on hummus and fresh vegetables, peanut butter and bananas, or a chickpea salad. We have a recipe that I can hand out that makes chickpeas taste just like tuna salad with some kelp powder added. And so you get a lot of variety and you get a lot of that fiber that Jen was talking about. And you want to stay away from the cold cuts because they are one of the most cancer producing foods that we eat in this country. And a lot of them aren't even allowed in Europe and other countries. And I don't know why our government hasn't cracked down a little bit more. It's lobbying, I'm sure, but that's something to avoid on your sandwiches. And then alternatively, put the hummus or the nut butter or chickpea salad on a large salad instead of on bread. Then you get more fiber that way. You get your greens. You can sprinkle some pumpkin seeds or some sunflower seeds on there for some crunch. And then for breakfast, start creating delicious smoothies with oat milk and frozen fruit, oatmeal bowls where you drizzle a little bit of nut butter on the top there to get your protein along with your carbs, and nuts and seeds on there, and homemade whole grain pancakes, one of the best things you can do for the fiber, and waffles on the weekend when you have time. And make grains somewhat the center of the meal. So a delicious whole wheat pasta dish or whole garbanzo bean pasta with marinara sauce, a mushroom risotto, or veggies and rice stuffed bell peppers all make the plants the center of the meal. And you get all that color and all of that variety and all that fiber and goodness, vitamins, and it doesn't cost as much. So I've noticed a remarkable difference in our grocery expenditures over the last 8 years, and especially the last 5 years when my whole family's been plant-based. We don't spend as much money as we used to on food, even going out. The things that we purchase are less. And then snacks to avoid, processed crackers and cookies. Go for fresh fruit and nuts. Make yourself some little baggies to take with you all week, and so you've got something with you at all times and you're not having to grab something that would not be a best choice. And as always, just concentrate on whole foods, plant-based and not processed, to stay away from the processed. And also, the more cooking you can do at home, gather your family and your friends around and make it a social thing where you're sharing good food rather than going out to eat. We've gotten a real habit in this country of going out to eat all the time, and eating at home, you have control over how much oil, how much fiber and everything goes in your food. And it just makes for a better community for all of us. So, all righty.
Joy,
should
I have to unmute you in order for you to hear us.
Okay.
So does anybody have any questions, either for myself, Sally, or for Joy?
I've had one of my nurse practitioners caution me about like rapeseed oil and sunflower oil because they're huge crops. And
Yep.
we just go by organic and know that we're getting a better quality of oil. Is there a way we tell from the label?
I didn't hear the last part of that.
So she was wondering if by looking at the label, you can tell. And I think we have similar views on this, but I'll let you answer. So I'm going to mute myself and unmute you.
Okay. I personally would stay away from those oils, even if they're organic, from everything from the way that they're harvested to the impact on the environment to the impact on our health. They're just not the best choices. I would also suggest experimenting with some of the more flavorful oils. Like if you use a walnut oil in your salad dressings, it just adds a level, especially if you sprinkle some fresh walnuts on the salad. It just adds a level of depth that those other oils don't really have. They don't have a lot of flavor on their own. Olive oil's got a delicious flavor. One of the things I like about avocado oil is it's pretty bland. There's, we make our popcorn with avocado oil and you can't taste the oil in it, so it's not like the yellow stuff at the movies. But yeah, my personal advice would be to stay away from those other oils.
I just want to mention, Joy, because of that question, and tell me your first name.
Sherry.
Sherry. I'm Sally. I think I met you once before.
Right.
Nice to have you. Thank you. And that was a good question. I think, Joy, this kind of falls into obviously your genre of some of the things that you're doing currently with us, and that is just meal planning and
Yes.
education on your Nutrition 101 classes that we're hosting here, that you're doing grocery shopping methods to, kind of gear us up for better eating. There's a lot of things that she's doing, and we'll make sure you get some of those flyers. Those are coming up typically every Friday we have something different, but I think you address a lot of those things in those educational classes.
I do. Yeah, I do. And we can get more individual and more specific so that you're getting the answers, because also with knowing the best choices to make, we all have different foods that we enjoy and others that we don't. And so we want to cater your eating plan to something that's going to really appeal to you, that you will want to eat and not go, oh God, this stuff's diet stuff. You know, you want to have a meal that's tasty to you, so we can make it individual in that way.
So I also wanted to add that the reason your nurse practitioner asked you to stay away from those oils is because high in omega-6. And omega isn't bad. It just has to be in balance with omega-3. And so many products that we buy, crackers, bakery items, muffins, bread, have a lot of the omega-6. So we become out of balance. And when we become out of balance, our body becomes inflamed. And so it's not that they're bad, it's just that there's so much standard American diet now that it's causing inflammation. So if you reduce your use, then it can kind of balance it. Also, buying the omega-3, taking the omega-3 helps to balance that too. So, and it would be better not to be uneven and eat a diet, but it's really hard because anything you buy that's processed has omega-6. Yeah. Or it has the trans fats that might be rancid too, right? So the oxidized.
Exactly, yeah.
So again, we're eating a lot. We're having to read our labels even more than we ever did.
Yeah.
I'm finding it. But
and it's kind of like what Joyce said, if we're eating out a lot, which when I was young, eating out was special, right? And so now we do it more often because we're able to. But restaurants, their goal is not our health. Their goal is to make money. So they're going to use oils that are inexpensive.
Mm-hmm.
And oils are damaging to our bodies. And so it tastes good. We don't know that it's bad, right? But it's not healthy.
Moderation, everything in moderation.
The 80-20, right?
Special times. But Joy does all.
I would say except for sausage, yeah.
And bacon.
And bacon, yeah, put bacon in there.
Restaurants out there too, which is another research, obviously, project.
Yeah. We've got a list and we did hand it out. What was it, Denise, about 6 months ago? We could look at it and update it because I know one of those restaurants aren't around anymore. But yeah, there's definitely some places you can go and have better luck, you know, having the choices.
So it's interesting that this isn't a very big crowd here. And I think it's because it goes back to something that Jen had said, is that you don't notice when you have cholesterol unless you've had your blood tested. And so there's probably a lot of individuals that should be hearing this message, but they're not because they haven't had their blood tested. So they don't know. So, so share this message, right? Share this message with people you love. Tell them to go get their blood test. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're starting to find out too that the high cholesterol might have something that leads to insulin resistance. So, you know, they're seeing a lot of the, you know, it used to be it was the donuts and the grains and the sugars, but now they're starting to realize that it can, you know, the insulin resistance will lead to type 2 diabetes and fatty liver disease and even Alzheimer's. They're calling that another form of diabetes now.
Yeah. Yes. And Jen also mentioned the connection to the brain, right?
Right.
And the last thing we want, because horrible thing to have to go through to have dementia or Alzheimer's or any kind of cognitive decline. So
the good news is I went to the doctor once, and that runs in my family. My mom had Alzheimer's, my dad had Alzheimer's, and my grandmother had it. And so I just assumed once I start forgetting things, here we go. And I went to a doctor and he said, absolutely not, that, you know, 90% of it's lifestyle. And that even if you have the genetic propensity for that, you can fight it.
That's great.
And we'll be your cheerleaders.
Yeah, well, I mean, we support each other in that, right? Because I mean, it doesn't mean because we're over here that we don't have some things that we also battle, right?
Right.
We're all human beings. We all are subject to the same stuff. Family traits. We eat certain, raised this way. We got stress from whatever. So yeah, we're all in this together, and that's why we want to educate you. It educates us. We're learning too. And it's the whole purpose of why we're here doing these.
So Sally mentioned that we are now offering every Friday a plant-based class, whether it's a cooking class or an education class. So all of those, every Friday we'll have something special for you to learn. This Thursday, we're doing a special tapping class. So one of the things that we talked about is being able to be a little more resilient with stress, or learning how to reduce stress. And so we'll be practicing how to do tapping. I'm also going to introduce neuro-linguistic programming, which helps you be able to face certain conditions that might elevate the heart and teach you how to de-escalate. And so these are free classes for our Passport members. So we'd love for you to come. So we're trying to approach this house with looking at the lifestyle as a whole. And so please take advantage of these classes that we're offering. And then of course, the exercise, the yoga, all of them are just
Yeah,
wonderful
it
for
is,
helping
yeah.
you.
We want, it's priceless really what Vessel does, because you don't see this in most practitioner.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, most practices, you just don't. And I mean, it's great if you're going out and you're already involved with maybe maybe you're a gym person, maybe you walk your dogs and you get out and you're getting those things in, which is wonderful. We definitely encourage you to continue that, but we offer some things that are just unique and want you to know, and we want to share that. So,
Yeah. So, any other questions while you have us here? Yes.
I always had a rule, I could eat anything I wanted on Sunday. And where am I with that? Since I've always had trouble with cholesterol all my whole life, gradually went up, and it finally has come down a little bit here at Vesseltown. Now it's trying to come up again. And given that, maybe I should, change my rule, but I hate.
So I'm going to go first, and then I'm going to let Joy go first. And Joy, I'm going to go first because I want to do the psychological side of that.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Okay. Only because we were raised that food was always a reward, right? And so we save Sunday as that reward, which kind of sends the message that these other days we're kind of suffering through, right?
Yeah.
That we're having to eat this because it's healthy. And I think we need to change that perspective, that because I am worthy, I eat this healthy food. And I don't want to deny, if you want to have a piece of cake, if you want to have a cookie, it's okay. But we don't want to beat ourselves up. But when you put that Sunday on that pedestal, you're kind of leveling that food as being better, right? And so
Right.
So you see, you know what I'm saying, right? And so when we kind of shift and we put that blueberry and strawberry just as high, right? Or that plate of broccoli, or that, that plant-based meal that you worked so hard to prepare, just a little higher, we won't need so much, like a whole day to kind of, because then you try to fill everything in there, right? You try to use that Sunday, I'm going to eat everything because I got this one day, and it doesn't, So there's my take. And then Joy, what do you have to say?
I think that's a really valid point. And I would add that take your Sunday and be good 80% of it and be bad 20% of it. So it's not the whole day. Maybe go out to brunch and have your pancakes, whole grain, maybe go out to dinner and have your favorite type of dinner, but not have it be the entire day, because that is going to lead to an imbalance probably. And I would also say so two other things. I just finished this book that I mentioned in one of our meetings called How to Love Yourself as If Your Life Depended on It. And he talked about Cravagant, I'm going to have to look up his name, but he talked about the fact that if you start to eat something that isn't good for you, and you've got some cholesterol problems and might not be the best choice, to just say, would I eat this if I really and truly love myself? Would I take this in if I really and truly love myself and wanted the best for myself? Because we're so good at giving the best to our family and feeding them well and taking care of them, and we don't always do that for ourselves. And then the other thing I would say is food doesn't have to be the only gift to yourself or the only reward at the end of the week. Maybe it's going to the movies. Maybe it's, getting together with a friend and just having coffee or going for a walk. It doesn't have to be centered around the food. Sorry about this.
Yes.
No,
And you use this word, Joy, and I know you're using it because we're talking and it's easy for us to explain. But when we see food as good or bad, we put value.
Yes,
And
you're yeah.
Right. And what's good for you might not be good for someone else. And so food is food, right? And there's food that feeds your body and there's food that doesn't, right? And you start, that is, so, but there really isn't any bad food.
Right,
It's just food.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think Denise and I have this, we share this. I know we do. So, like, yeah, for me, it's like Sherry's point. My favorite dessert in the whole wide world is homemade pie. I don't even care which kind, but my favorite is chocolate. So chocolate pie with the real meringue, everything like it's supposed to be, no whipped cream. I want the toasted meringue on top. I want a real, true homemade pie. Hard to find. My mom,
Yeah.
but honestly, when you look at that, that to me is like, yeah, that would be the reward of my dreams. Like that's what I want. But if you're doing those things, you know, you're doing them out of the love. It's an experience. So it's not always, the value is sometimes different, right? Like you're saying, it's the reward is, for me, it's just like, I get something emotionally out of that food. Because we tie our emotions to food too. So as long as it's not something that you're doing all the time, and for me, it isn't, because I can't find them, so I have to make them myself, and I'm not thinking of
Yeah.
not eating very often. But yeah, I mean, if you're doing it in very true moderation form, it's not, you can't beat yourself up over it.
No, and shame is not ever the way to go, because then, you know, we set these things for ourselves that I'm never going to do this again. And then if we do, we're failures, and it just is not a good voice to have in the head. Yeah. So, you know, just enjoy that chocolate pie, close your eyes and enjoy every single bite of it very slowly, and congratulate yourself for only having one piece.
Something you bring that up, and I know Denise does this quite often, is the fact that when we eat, being very cognizant of when, where, how we're eating. Are we eating while we're stressed standing up? Are we eating in the car? Are we eating, you know, over the kitchen sink? Are we really allowing ourselves to sit down, take our load off, as they say, and really enjoy whatever that is, and so we're present.
If we're hiding or we know it's bad, we might be sneaking it
Right,
in,
and then,
right?
then now you're adding that other component.
Yes.
Kind of like that little stress thing going on, because your
Yes.
mind, whether you think you are doing that or not, it does do that. So you're adding that other component to the food that's not so great. So those are the things, I mean, I really, really am driving this home. Let's sit down, let's you know, like the old days, yes, you sit down, you relax, no weird conversation, stressful conversation, none of that.
And that is so much part of that whole Blue Zone study that they did. You know, it wasn't just what they were eating, it was that they sat down with their family or their community and felt love for each other and laughed around the table and enjoyed it. You know, it's, gosh, we're so busy rushing around that we don't take the time to do that.
Thank you.
Any other questions, any thoughts that came up? So know that we're here to support you. So Dr. White had this vision of preventative care. And so he created this lifestyle idea to help prevent us from having to go to the statins, having to have the surgeries, right? And he did the research to find out, you know, which supplements, because they don't have the same side effects as if you were to have a medication. And then of course we have our programs, and he believes in what we you know, what we're sharing. And so please take advantage of the knowledge that we have, the classes that we're offering. Take advantage of these, you know, these supplements and these resources, and so that, you know, you can keep your health.
It's true. I've learned so much just being here. Really quite the benefit.
Oh, and the testing. And I'm going to be honest.
yeah.
Since I moved out here, my insurance has not been the best. I have not had my blood test. And I have to tell you, I'm going to go get a Boston Heart blood panel, right? Because I need to know. I always felt that I felt, you know, healthy, that I did not need it. But hearing that there's silent killers, right? There's silent diseases that I may not know. And I need to be proactive, and I can't be proactive if I don't know.
Yeah, because that's how we prevent.
Yeah.
By knowledge.
Yeah.
I'll do that too. That's a good idea. Really
Yeah.
is.
You know, I haven't had one since I started, and it was good then. I don't know what it's like now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
After this morning, maybe some tapping.
Happening on Thursday. And as a passport member, once a year, you get a free assessment.
Yeah.
And we have the Tanita. The Tanita is the scale that you stand on. And it gives you your weight. It gives you your BMI, which is your body mass index. It tells you if you have fat in your body, if it's visceral fat, or if it's fat that's spread through the body. It tells you whether your body is hydrated. So, you know, are you drinking enough water? Bone mass, and it also gives you your metabolic age. And so that is something that you have access to every year. And so that's a good baseline. It's not the blood, right? But it's the body mass. So if you collect these baselines, you can start to monitor what you're doing to see if you're being successful in your practice. So
So is it just?
you stand on it, I print it, and you walk out with it. Yeah.
Really very.
Yes.
Really
I would
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Marlene. So yeah, so please take advantage. It's part of your membership benefit. So you want to do that. Any other questions? You just have to schedule with up in the front and let them know that you want your once a year passport assessment.
I know, she's, tell me your first name.
Susan,
Susan, hi Susan, I've seen you here before.
Yes.
Very nice to have you here.
are you okay? All right. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? We appreciate your flexibility with our technology issue when we first got started, and we appreciate your patience. Sally always does a great job of picking up some wonderful snacks. There's a small group, so there's lots of snacks back there.
Oh, boy.
And strawberries, of course. So berries are full of antioxidants, and they also have fiber. And so that fiber is really good. When you eat fruit, it should be the whole fruit. If you juice a piece of fruit, you're getting the sugar, and it can increase the glycemic index quickly. But if you eat a piece of fruit that's whole, you get the fiber in there, and you don't have that spike quite the same. And so some of the things that we talked about, you'll be able to benefit from eating this. So.
And I'll go cut up the avocado. There are some gluten-free, healthier version of a nut-based cracker back there, as well as some oat. I think they're oat and honey bars that with gluten-free, and I want to say the sugar is actually a fruit sugar, so it's not as bad as some sugar. So I was trying to go.
Great job, Sally.
Thank you. I tried.
Joy, thank you so much for spending your vacation helping us
Oh,
out.
you did. It was a pleasure. You guys have a great one.
All right,
You too.
bye. We'll see you on Wednesday, right?
See you Wednesday.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Understand.